big time. Decay was great, but more importantly, Twilight was completely locked in. Twilight's Ana performance is the type of play that makes the game completely unplayable for the other team, and it is easily one of the greatest individual Ana performances I have ever seen. He hit every single important cooldown. Leap and Shy were getting bullied. They couldn't even get near this guy without getting slapped. They were genuinely afraid, which gets me into point number 2. Spark DPS denial. If the Spark DPS can't carry, then they stand very little chance. Leaf in particular was the main target right from map 1, as he was dying a lot. It was honestly the least useful I have seen him be probably in years. Boston could do whatever they wanted to, in perhaps one of their most impressive wins to date. And unfortunately for APAC fans, your region's run ended right here. Houston versus Atlanta, winners finals. The fact that this wasn't even the last game of the tournament is crazy, because damn did it feel like one. A few of the maps were not super high scoring per se, but don't let those numbers deceive you. Each and every map was tight, and it's when we have these types of stalemates that it's usually up to some of the individual pop-offs to decide it. Look at Blizzard World, for example. Atlanta Rain got full held on this map, and a lot of it comes down to when Happy managed to stick Chio, who accidentally bashed into Field. That set up the win condition they needed to full hold. It was a rare error from the backline that let Houston take this map. On the other side of it, we had a full hold and a near fuller hold on Rialto. Atlanta did their job on the defense, standing strong, but then they struggled to finish on their attack for a while. And if it weren't for the plays of Stalker on both sides of the map really, they'd probably lose this map and the series, as he is pretty much the sole reason why they won the 3 biggest fights of Rialto. He had so many big kills and crazy pulse bombs at the perfect moment. And just to make the series even spicier, as we sometimes see with close games, big-time mistakes can happen and unforced errors can kind of change the outcome of a series, as Houston ended up coming back down and push down 50 meters with about 3 minutes left to go. And what it really came down to was both teams trying their best to lose it. It starts off with Pelican whipping an EMP that could have been their win condition, but then Atlanta threw just as hard with a questionable Transcendence, allowing for the Houston Outlaws to finish the map and send it to a map 5 where they unfortunately would run out of gas. As hard as they tried, Stalker and the Rain backline would not falter. Houston simply got outplayed by their superior's map pick. They came up short in this one, but I think ultimately they showed that it's possible for them to defeat Atlanta Rain, and that there's definitely some mutual respect between these two rosters. And honestly, if it weren't for Stalker having literally the game of his life, this would have went a lot differently, as this was probably one of the best Tracer performances I have seen in years. If there was ever any doubts that he wasn't a top player and potentially the #1 Tracer in the league, it's time to let that go. Also, Dynasty fans, you're probably cringing in your seats right now. Boston versus Florida. Boston? Are you okay? What on earth happened? You literally just played a great game a few hours prior to this one. How do you go from that to this? I'm not sure if Boston had bad results against the Mayhem in scrims, or if they ran out of gas, but they looked terrified. It was a lifeless performance. They were overthinking way too hard. That King's Row pick was completely out of left field. And the worst part about it was, their secret weapon on that map was a Decay Genji. Needless to say, that didn't go too hot for them. Genji in this economy just ain't gonna cut it. And after that, Boston were totally checked out. There should never be a world where you're playing Orisa with Lee Jae-gon on back in Moira. Boston played with so much unneeded desperation. They lost the mental battle, and if you're losing it as early as they did, the game's already over. Mayhem were practically better in every facet. Someone pummeled those kids into the dirt to secure a well-deserved top 3 in this tournament. Florida versus Houston. If you're Houston, this was supposed to be your warm-up game, not one that really made you sweat like how it did. This was going to be your walk in the park that got you loose for Rain. It's supposed to be the thing that shows that you're in a new tier all by yourself. But instead, Florida Mayhem really gave them hell, as 3 out of 4 maps in this series were incredibly close. There's a world where Houston actually lose this. Mayhem were 1 fight away from taking both Peninsula and Push. They gave Houston everything they had. Houston expected to walk in here and get it over with quickly, but they had other plans for these guys. In typical Mayhem fashion, they just have to find ways to remind you of their existence at probably the worst possible time. And I have to give a lot of credit to my main man Checkmate once again, as he was totally locked in. It might have come on a losing